And welcome to this very special edition. It's sort of like a double header, I feel like I've been drinking all day. What about you, Jason?
You probably you probably have.
Joby?
Jason, I have, yeah. Well, no, not that much. A few.
Jason.
Well, especially because Stan wasn't drinking either. He has
Well.
water in his glass.
Right. Or so he says anyway. Right.
Now, what I like about that statement, though, actually, that just dawned on me, is it's really easy when you say you were drinking, you're not drinking, and they want you to drink alone. That one word with no other context automatically equals alcohol.
Yeah, yeah.
It could have been any liquid, could have been any beverage.
That's funny that you say that because there's a countless number of times I've said somebody, "Can I get you something to drink?" And I'm referring to anything.
Right.
And they're like, "No, it's way too early." I'm like, no, I just meant like an iced tea or a soda. Like they're like, "Oh, I thought you meant oh, if you want a beer, you can have one." And then it becomes kind of a funny like, "Oh, well, no, it's okay." But you're right. It automatically means that. Like, I don't think there's
Very much in line with, "Hey, do you need a Kleenex?" It's like, well, is that a tissue? Is that, like you can use one word and automatically everybody knows what you're meaning. I think we should come up with a one-word acknowledgement for the show or for our identities. We got Beyonce, we got Cher.
I'm nowhere near cool enough for that kind of.
I know. Yeah.
Maybe.
I don't know. I mean,
yeah, teach maybe. There you go. And that's about as lame as you can get, right?
That's right up there with coach.
Right, coach. Hey, coach. Hey, teach.
or champ.
Right. So were they biting today?
Yeah, there was some good. It was really foggy, but it was and then it burned off, and it was a beautiful day. I think same thing over here, but yeah, we were out at we went to the islands today. We got some whitefish and which is really funny that this fish was named whitefish. There's no other name for it. There's all these other fancy names for these fish, and it's like this is called the whitefish. But they're super tasty. They and there's lots of them. So the nice thing about whitefish, makes really good fish tacos. I mean, what doesn't taste good? Battered and fried,
right?
And in a tortilla with coleslaw and
a nice chipotle.
It's funny you say that. Because how many things have we battered and fried at the restaurant, Joby? We did burgers, we've done pickles, but also I watch these guys from Ear Biscuits and Good Magnificent Morning. I don't remember the name. Damn it, Curtis, I did it again.
Mythical Morning.
Their names are Rhett and Link. Yeah.
Is that what it's called?
So Rhett and Link.
Yeah,
Rhett, Curtis. Which they actually said tasted pretty good, battered and fried like a chicken McNugget. So they melted the Sour Patch Kids down, formed them into little kid shapes, like a cookie cutter style, and battered them and fried them just like you would a chicken nugget, and put it in a hot sweet and sour sauce. It said it tasted great. So, I mean, to me, that proves that anything could be battered and fried.
Yeah, no, I know. That's what's funny because automatically everyone's always like, oh, you caught those? Great fish tacos. And then you start thinking like, well, what the hell doesn't make a great fish taco? Like, all these fish make great fish tacos. Like I said, just batter them up and fry them. But
batter them.
Yeah, you got to batter them.
So when
you can do grilled.
So when you go out to the islands, how long does it take you to get out there?
It's about an hour. It was super foggy today, so it was like an hour and 20 minutes. Just because
make sure you don't run into anything.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. There's actually
there's no stoplights out there, Curtis. There's no like crossing paths.
The best thing to do to somebody on a boat is say, "Hey, hit the brakes," and then they're just like, "Wait, what? Where's the brakes?" There's some great, but boating humor, I guess.
Right.
Yeah, the brakes are put the parking brake on. There's all kinds of stuff. Especially old guys love to say those.
I'm just thinking, where are you leaving out of
It's
Ventura? Or are
almost
you going
us.
out of Oxnard?
Yeah, Jason, you're right. No, Ventura.
Ventura.
So it's pretty much a straight shot. You just
Yeah.
got to be careful of the. So the story that everybody talks about when you're talking about going to islands is getting hit by a freightliner, a cargo ship. Like that's pretty much what you have to watch out for. Everything else is cool. You're wide open.
Right.
Apparently those things go really fast. I never even thought about that. Yes.
I mean, I've been out at the beach plenty of times when they're coming into port, and those things take forever to get in.
Well, once they're coming
it's like watching,
in,
Yeah, and it's like watching the big Air Force like troop transports, like the Hercules and the C-10s. It's lumbering in the sky,
Right.
but if you're in it or you're anywhere near it, it's going fast.
I suppose.
So you can just imagine. I think about. We did talk about that last time. I think I just imagining one of those using it as one of those bad guys as layer, right? So imagine all these, like every single movie has like the subtitles, right? Because none of them speak English in the movie. None of the Freightliner crews, they're always like from another country.
Because it's cheaper to flag them on international waters in other countries.
There you go. And
the cruise lines get away with it.
The villains never speak English. They do, but they always have the accent, which I didn't want to get into that.
That's probably best.
The accent in the movie, but still speaking English. That's a whole other topic.
Right.
I watched something the other day, and they were supposed to be in Germany, and they were speaking English, but with a German style English accent.
I'm trying to put all of them together like a Asian manic sort of.
It's hilarious. Yeah, but apparently these Freightliners go really fast, and they don't really care if they hit you.
Yeah, they'll just blow you over, right? I mean, they kill blue whales, so they're not going to worry about how big of a boat are you going out on?
They're like 25, 34. Yeah, you're right. They don't care about you.
No, that's not even going to make a blip.
Yeah,
you're a bum. You're a speed bump.
I just picture the what do you call it? Like pirates or something on these Freightliners. Like they're up to no good, but they're just bringing in cargo.
And the captain now.
Exactly. So he comes in, it's rah. I'm the captain now. Yeah, and there always has to be the one cargo container that has like either the weapons or like some crazy what do you call it, car, or it's like, oh yeah, it happens to be on this ship,
right?
And they know exactly where it is.
Yeah, that's pretty good timing to be able to pick that one instead of the one that's carrying surgical masks and plushies, right? So it's like
something super.
But how many things do you feel are like smuggled across in container ships these days? Do you think there's a lot of that still going on?
Yeah, I think so. I think there's got to be a lot of that.
Which you're mentioning all the weird things in the containers and the weapons. I was thinking about my different movies, and Lord of War with Nicolas Cage is one of those where he does a lot of munitions and weapons running.
Does he send them on cargo ships?
Well, there is one where there's a cargo ship that, well, it's an old movie, so if I'm ruining it, shame on you for not watching it. It's 2008. But one of the containers, he's got a bunch of rifles and weapons, and he said the trick to covering it up so that no one will ever discover them is you cover it up with old produce, and you let the container like be exposed to the sun during your voyage. So all the produce gets really spoiled and stinky, and as soon as they open the door, the customs guys like freak out, like, "Oh my God, just close it, just close it."
Right, because they've never thought of any of that.
He also hires a guy. Sorry, go ahead.
I said they've never thought of any of that. Right.
Right.
Like,
never.
No, it's produce.
He also hired a guy to just go over the side of the boat and change the name on the fly as the international customs people are like zooming up on them.
That would totally work. Of course, that would work. Yeah.
Laying over the deck and painting a new name on the side of the boat upside down. Why is that name upside down and backwards? I don't know what's happening. But I think because it has Nick. Yeah, and was there, because it was Nick Cage, was there any sort of Da Vinci Code sort of thing he had to rotate to get the code in order to break the pirate?
Not quite. I mean, there's definitely a lot of national treasure going on there. And where it's from, and they're like, crap, what are we gonna do? We need a flag. So they gotta put this flag up. And he grabs a flag. He's like, we don't have that flag. He's like, wait a minute. And he turns it sideways. He's like, when you flip it the other side, it's that flag.
Come on, man. Really? I know there's a lot of similarities in flags, but that is a stretch, man. Like, there's a lot of flags that look similar.
Nicolas Cage. Why wasn't I in that movie?
It's like Mexico, Italy.
But what about the eagle in the middle? I don't know. Nobody's going to notice it.
Wait, can I just guess? I haven't seen the movie. Can I guess? Does the inside man get caught and then he has to does he then tell, or then they figure out that it's all fake because the inside man gets caught? Or
no. It's actually a pretty cool movie. I've seen it a few times because I think some of the camera work is interesting, but it basically details Nicolas Cage as a young man who grows up and ends up being an arms dealer and all the trials and tribulations associated with that.
I do need to watch this now because I've never heard it. I want
to watch it too.
I've never heard a Nicolas Cage movie described as it has intriguing camera shots. So I'm like, I've got to see this now.
It's a little. So there's some CGI in the opening sequence, and it's a little unrefined considering our CGI advancements now. Because again, the movie's been out for a while, but what they do leading into the opening of the movie is pretty cool. The CGI work.
All right, there you go.
It's not going to give away too much, but basically you follow the path of a bullet from its creation all the way through its usage and the journey across continents to get to its usage. And they do it all through CGI, basically following the bullet. And at one point it's like going into a bucket and into a crate and then into the chamber of the gun. So it's pretty cool the way they lay it out.
I just had a late thought about what you said about the produce thing. In COVID times, that wouldn't work because all the guys would be wearing masks already. So all the customs guys would be wearing masks anyway. So I don't smell anything. And they just go right to it. Dude, I was watching. I got stuck on a whole marathon of. I think this was during quarantine. Border something in the title, and it's it's all about the customs people, and so there's it shows you the mail, how they check the mail. Shows you how they check at the airport, and it also shows you the ships. And there was a couple of ones about the cargo containers and how they disguise some of the stuff, and how they sent fruit that had the fruit was fake and it had cocaine in the fruit, but then the fruit was actually packaged in boxes. Everything was legit. The box, the packaging, the pallets was wrapped, and one was avocados, fake avocados. I think that was recent actually. And then there was a bananas one. So all the bananas were filled with perfectly formed bananas of Coke. But yeah, that show is cool because they show you how the travelers are all nervous. So they're watching them on the cameras, and they're okay, there's this guy, look how nervous this guy is. And the guy's super nervous, right? But he hasn't done anything yet. He's still barely getting off the plane. He's walking off the plane, and they're okay, look, he's looking around, and then sure enough, they catch him. They catch a lot of weird shit too, though, food items, people trying to bring, weird reality, I guess, weird reality stuff.
That made me think of of Kinder eggs. Do you two know Kinder eggs? Yeah. And so we get a version of them in the United States, but in Germany there's actual little tiny toys inside these things that you can put together. And the last time we went, we read that there is something like a $2,000 fine on every one of those, each egg, if you bring those back in, like the original ones with all the little toys in it. I'm like, holy shit, if you didn't even know what was happening, you just had a handful of those in your backpack. Just thinking of smuggling. And I was trying to figure out a way that I could get it back, but I thought, if they're going to do an x-ray and find it just for a piece of stale waxy chocolate just because it has a toy in it, then that's kind of stupid.
Isn't that sad though that we've got a new place where you can get fined for bringing chocolate with toys in? For me, that really kind of sums up the mentality that a lot of Americans have, their level of entitlement, and also the I must protect everyone from themselves.
Well, that's what happened actually. Though. That is what happened. And some kid, I think, choked on the Kinder toy. And really wasteful and pissed me off is they didn't eat the chocolate. They just busted through the chocolate,
Right.
and then I'm like, they just want the toy that's
You're missing
inside.
the good part.
Yes, it's not that great of a chocolate. I mean, Kinder is a good chocolate, but that exact chocolate is not great.
Right.
It's weird. It forms. But so there's the real one, which I have brought them back from Mexico, in duty free they sell them. But also then there's the one that we get, which is all like sanitized for your protection. You have to like do all kinds of stuff to get the toy out. And then you get it out, and 2 seconds later, they're over the toy. So it's like, wow, that's great. I just paid $7.99 for that chocolate egg.
Well, Joby, that's like most toys these days, though. Honestly,
That's true.
most toys entirely.
Well, it's all about surprise. You go and it's all surprise stuff. It's brilliant. It's like collect all 100 of them, you know. And then there's the rarity. There's the rare ones. There's the rare Pokemon. What used to be Pokemon.
Yep.
But yeah, everything is surprise, and they love it. They got the kids hooked on the surprises, man.
Well, it's kind of like this show, because I think maybe we take a minute and a half, 2-minute pause, and we come back and open up.
Surprises. All right. We'll be
Don't
back
forget
in
to eat
just
the
a
good
bit.
chocolate.
It's refreshment time, and our refreshment stand is loaded with good things to eat. There's crispy, crunchy popcorn and hot, delicious buttered popcorn, lots of candy, and frosty, refreshing cold drinks. Why not treat yourself at the refreshment center now? As you leave the theater, folks, please be careful. Don't let this happen to your car. Be sure to remove the speaker before you leave. If you should accidentally pull a speaker loose, please turn it in at our snack bar or box office. Thank you.
Enjoy popcorn, exploded into tender, delicious, crispy bites of crunchy goodness. Enjoy the tops in cool, refreshing soft drinks. If you want to enjoy some refreshments,
10, 9, 8, 7 minutes to go. Hey, Mom. Yes, you. Why fuss and fret about dinner? Why not have it right here? Yes, this drive-in offers everyone in the family a real picnic treat for dinner. We've got delicious sandwiches with all the trimmings and your other dinner favorites, plus whatever you want to drink, hot or cold. Come early before the show starts, or eat while you're being entertained, or at intermission time. So why fuss? Give your family a tasty dinner at this drive-in.
What is it? Hey, why it's Buttercup. Popcorn, add some butter to hot popcorn. Mix it up, wrap it up, Buttercup is born.
Back now.
All right, hold on a sec here. All right, so we're back, and during the break, we could not stop talking about Nick Cage. So here we are. We got Con Air, we've got Ghost Rider, we've got
Face Off.
The Rock.
The Rock.
And was he in Face Off? Did you say Face Off?
Face Off.
And
yes,
Face
John
Off.
You just say
Travolta.
Face Off, 1997. So this is how cool, though. I mean, think he did Leaving Las Vegas in 95, The Rock in 96, Face Off and Con Air in 97.
Damn.
I mean,
He's a
he's
busy man.
trying to just double up.
He's a busy man.
And then where did the National Treasures fit into these movies here?
The National Treasures.
I feel like that was
Good that you
2000s, right? That's
2004 was the first National Treasure.
That
2004.
late? Wow.
Yeah. He also did Kick-Ass in 2010.
I missed.
That was kick ass.
Oh, that was isn't that another like
It was like a
comic
superhero
book?
spin-off?
Yeah, like a
comic book.
superhero.
Correct.
comic
Yeah,
book.
correct. Except it's not for kids by any means.
Right.
So here's okay. Next was the movie I was talking about, where he can see like X number of seconds into the future.
Right.
I think it's like, I don't remember the time frame, but he basically can see what's about to happen, and then he can try to make quick adjustments to change that. But one of the worst movies I've seen him in was Season of the Witch.
Wait. You can't
2011.
just skip over that. You got to. What does he do with this with this power?
I'm gonna tease
right,
you
here,
for.
I'll
I'm
give
gonna
you-
tease you for a couple of minutes on this. You can see, and I'm gonna say, but first, this
What
is
does
the
he do
worst
with this
movie.
hour of seeing 3 seconds in the future?
This is the super short synopsis from IMDb. A Las Vegas magician who can see into the future is pursued by FBI agents seeking to use his abilities to prevent a nuclear terrorist attack.
Now, if I could have used my 3-second abilities, I would have fast forward to figure this out, and then I could have brought it back in a little earlier. I do like how he's using it to gamble his life, gamble through life, and then the FBI wants him to save the world.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's obviously doing something for himself, and then the FBI figures this out. Like, how? Like, this is one of those where it's like a movie versus reality. Like, there's this guy that can see into the future, and he's just hanging out gambling and stuff. And,
Well, what are you gonna do?
oh, he's a magician.
You know,
He's a magician. That's right. He's a magician.
He's a magician.
That's an illusionist, by the way.
Yes, thank you.
Touche.
It's illusion.
I'm flying through some of these, but in a similar kind of
Wait,
direction.
where's Gone in 60 Seconds, Jason? Where does that fit? Is that later?
All right, Gone in 60. I wish these things were in freaking order.
Is that way later? Oh yeah, sorry. I thought it was in order.
Gone in 60 Seconds was in 2000. I mean, Nick Cage at one point was doing like a movie a year.
Yeah, but then didn't he like forget to pay his taxes or something?
I was gonna say,
Maybe so, 'cause
I
he-
hope he saved some money.
I think he forgot to pay taxes on all these movies. He got in some trouble. Hold on, he
Not
got
every
in
single
some,
one of them.
he got into some trouble.
'cause
I remember.
So there's two movies that there's one I'm going to come back to, but two that I think are interesting, and I really thought had like unique, intriguing plots. Was The Wicker Man from 2006.
Right.
Have you seen that one?
Yep. I forgot about that.
Oh, Wicker Man, yeah.
And The Wicker Man was pretty cool. And then the other one was where'd you go again? Being reminded. Oh, Matchstick Men from 2003.
That has to do with the war.
Matchstick Men. He's a con artist
Oh, okay, it's con artist.
with all these phobias. He's got like these weird OCD things going on.
Yeah. Cage owed the IRS a shit ton of money, and also at one point completely went broke, and then had to start making a bunch of movies. So that was probably right around where he starts making like a movie a year or two movies a year.
How do
He's
you
pretty
forget to
consistent.
pay taxes?
Well, I mean, I don't know.
Well.
I
That's
think
when
what
the
happens.
phrase, it must have slipped my mind comes
Right.
into play.
I think
I've been
what
too busy
happens
making
to-
movies.
Yeah, exactly. It looks like he's settled. Oh, this is a long time ago, so it must have been before he. Well, it said in 2012 he settled, so he must have blew it. But isn't he a Coppola? He's a Coppola, right? He's
Oh,
like Coppola's Francis Ford Coppola's like nephew or something.
really? Not much.
I think he just changed his last name.
Oh, okay. That makes more sense.
Okay, through
Well-
his father, he's a nephew of Francis Ford Coppola, and cousin of Sofia Coppola, and yeah. So, but he didn't want to get any favoritism.
So I'm looking at Wicker Man, and Wicker Man was actually a movie in 1973. So this was a remake of it. It was a British film. Interesting. It makes sense, though. That was the beginning of remaking everything in Hollywood. So
Yeah,
here was a British film that nobody saw. So let's remake that one.
was that around the time of like Italian Job and all that? Probably.
2006. It could have been. Yeah.
I did not know we were gonna have hot Nick Cage talk, man.
We are definitely having hot.
Well, when you bring up Italian Job, all of a sudden doesn't it bring up Donnie Wahlberg
Yeah.
or what's
Well,
no
yeah, because that's the remake.
right?
That's when they modify 3 Mini Coopers
Yes.
to hold like hundreds of pounds of weight and
Literally was a
Drive down
commercial
soup.
for the new Mini Cooper. It was just like one
Most
long
definitely.
commercial.
I want a Mini Cooper.
Yeah.
Did you see that thing,
You see what it was doing?
dude? You know
Those were some good times though. Like when James Bond would like premiere a car in like one of the James Bond movies, like, oh, and then Italian Job. Now it's like I don't know.
So that's what I like about some of these movies that we're talking about, though, is they're not necessarily great movies, but they definitely stick in your brain and they're things that are memorable. like even in bad performance, I know Curtis, we keep coming back to the National Treasure that you like so much, but Disney doesn't make bad movies; they just make not good movies sometimes. And
Right.
it's fun to watch that movie, knowing that it really doesn't have a lot of quality substance to it.
Yeah. Well, when we were talking about this and going off of bad movies, it reminded me that today or yesterday I saw that it was the 35th anniversary of the movie Better Off Dead. Do either of you two know Better Off Dead? John Cusack.
John Cusack. Yeah.
John Cusack, Curtis Armstrong, who played the character Booger from the
what do you call it?
Revenge of the Nerds movies.
Revenge of the Nerds. Oh man.
I feel like we referenced this movie last week as well.
No. I think I referenced
That was another Cusack movie.
I referenced One Crazy Summer last episode.
Yes, correct.
And it had the same sort of cast of characters in it too, but I was just 30.
Considering I was 9 years old when this movie came out, I don't remember it.
35 years ago.
Yeah. So I just
So
dated myself. But 1985 American teen dark classic. Teen dark comedy classic.
1985. I was 7.
1985. So
Yeah, well, I've got you all beat because I was I was 13 at that point. So
yeah, I see Booger in the background of the poster though.
Yeah.
Booger.
Right on. All right.
You mentioned James Bond, and we talked about The Rock, and Sean Connery is a central figure in both of those. Those are another series of movies when we think about James Bond that there's so many really iconic main role leading men. That's the phrase I'm looking for. Leading men for all of those. It was like a badge of honor to be selected as a James Bond leading man.
Right.
And Sean Connery, I think, is one of the best to fill that role. You guys can debate amongst yourselves if you'd like, but there's something about his stoicness and his grovelly voice that I felt always made him a quality actor in that role.
And if I'm not mistaken, he had some of the better named Bond movies too, right? Or people that were in the movies, like.
I'm waiting for it.
Octopussy. That's the first one that came to mind.
Yeah, I think you're right, though. I mean,
Right.
I'm looking at it right now. So going down the lineup, you got Diamonds Are Forever, Never Say Never Again, You Only Live Twice, Dr. No. I mean, Dr. No is classic.
Live and Let Die.
From Russia with Love.
Is Live and Let Die? Is that still him, or is that
Roger Moore?
Roger Moore. And then when does Pierce Brosnan come in? That's like 2000.
See, I think I'm excited for who's coming up next. I mean, I think Daniel Craig is a great one too, but the new ones are a little more serious than the old ones were. There's a little more humor in especially the Sean Connery ones that Jason is referencing.
Well, and it was a different time, so I don't think they can get away with some of the same stuff now.
So I'm thinking of, when Jason said Sean Connery, one of the things that comes to my mind is the Quickening, where he was the swordsman who couldn't die. What is that?
Oh, Highlander.
And so what I love the most about that is his character is Spanish, and yet he clings to his Scottish accent. And oh yeah, I believe you're from Spain. Whatever. As he's talking, and he calls himself the Spaniard, and then he's speaking in a Scottish accent. Okay, whatever. We'll go with that. And I'm trying to think of who plays him in all of the Jeopardies on Saturday Night Live when he's trying to play.
Oh yeah, who plays?
I'll take the rapist.
The rapist.
That's therapist for 100.
Here's a deep pool. Let's see if you've seen this one. Since we're on the movie themes, and it fits in with the ocean theme. Have either of you seen The Incredible Mr. Limpet?
Oh yeah, right.
Yes.
When he wants to be a fish. All right, I was able to show that to the kids, and they loved it. But that's the movie where, at the beginning of the show, I was like, just saw a movie where the Germans were speaking, and that's the one. He's like, "It's Limpet, it's limpet, and they're all saying it in English, but German accents. That's another one where I was like, wow, they would let you make any movie back then. It's like somebody came up and was like,
thank you for making that statement, because
Jesus.
what just strikes me, I'm looking at the SNL clips that Curtis was just referencing, and the gentleman who played Sean Connery was Daryl Hammond.
Oh, there you go.
oh yeah, he passed away. That's right.
Killed.
He was awesome.
Yeah, but
He played Bill Clinton all the time too.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
But you can't really get away with that kind of parody these days anymore, and those kinds of portrayals. It's like, for the limpet, you'd have to have real German actors playing the German sailors, and even then there'd be controversy for some kind of campy or spoofy portrayal of German sailors and Navy men. Like, you couldn't get away with anything today.
yeah. I just that.
Those movies wouldn't fly.
Well, not just that. I mean, I would like to see who pitched that. Like, okay, I got this great movie idea. This guy wants to be he loves fish, wants to be a fish so bad.
But before you say no, Don Knotts.
Don Knotts.
Oh yeah.
Don Knotts, man, he was hot.
This one is gonna sell. We're coming right off the backs of Herbie the Love Bug. He is
and what
in.
we do is we get some of the animators, and we're gonna make this half animated and half live. I mean, it was pretty good for not having computers.
Right. Yeah. So think Herbie meets Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, and boom, there you go. It's all of them together. Don Knotts and animation. You can't go wrong with it.
So I just watched this like 2 weeks ago. So it's fresh. It's fresh.
It's fresh.
Well, we were driving in the car, and I was like, "There's this movie," and I'm trying to remember. I'm like, "Did you ever watch this movie when you were a kid?" And this guy wanted to be a fish, and he kept saying, I wish I were a fish." And then I was like, we just kept doing that. We looked at it. I was like, "Oh, Mr. Lippin." It's like from 1950s.
No wonder Joey's been out on the boat so much lately. He got inspired to.
I want to be a fish, yeah. I don't want to be a fish. I'm okay, but with 1964,
You're out there
man.
trying to catch Mr. Lippin.
Right.
Also, what I didn't know was based on a 1942 novel. So actually, somebody wrote a story about Mr. Lippin. So this is a screenplay adaptation. It's really bad. Like the guy on the ship, the chief of that ship, has to go to his superior and explain to him that this fish is going to help them defeat the Nazis, as they call them. They call them not Nazis. and it was like, and the guy's like, "Look, I don't know what's going on out there on the water. If you're saying this guy's helping you, we're keeping it top secret. And that's it. Just do what you got to do." And it's like,
Do what you got to do.
Come on, man. Sir, a fish is talking to me. It's so great. When you're nice and buzzed, give it a whirl. It's on Amazon, I think. It's on one of those. So.
I think these are the conversations that are perfect for when you're nice and buzzed. I barely looked up from my computer so far this whole broadcast because I'm like searching through all these movies.
I say I owned that DVD for a while because it was when my kids, like 15 years ago, I was like,
amazing.
You go in, you look in the bargain bin for $1 at Walmart, whatever it was, and you say, "Oh, hey, let's pull this, let's bring this one home." I remember watching this.
That's awesome, man.
You know,
I think my mother
it
still owns
lives
the
on.
VHS tape.
It still lives on. I showed it to my kids, so that's fantastic. Curtis, you had the DVD digitally remastered.
Well, what I think what's always disappointing about those though is that when you play those old movies on your TV, they take up about this much space of your TV. Because if it gets any bigger, it's so pixelated you can't see it.
That's true. It is.
Maybe they'll bring it back in a live action like they did with Beauty and the Beast.
Right.
Even though 2/3 of that movie were CGI.
I don't know. I feel like if they can, they did Hamilton. I think somebody needs to do Limpet. Somebody needs to get on this.
Limpet on stage.
Yeah, Limpet on stage.
With like the cardboard waves that they bring across the
super
stage.
fake. Yeah, super fake with the fish going across the seaweed. It's great.
Fantastic.
Man. Yeah, it's terrible. It's a cool movie for kids. Like the concept, even though they what's it called? They intertwine some World War II stuff, and he helps. Limpet helps end the war, which is crazy. All right, enough about Limpet.
And just one last thing, because isn't he like a guppy kind of fish too? Like this really frilly tail.
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to make sure I wasn't confusing that with whatever the Will Smith movie was, where he was the fish.
Wait a minute. That's right. There was a Will Smith movie where was that a Limpet remake?
It might have been where they were doing where they were doing car wash underneath. There was some music.
Yeah, wait, that's right.
No,
that was fully animated. Yeah. That was like we're not Pixar, we're not Disney, but
Right.
we got this animated.
Yeah, we're not DreamWorks. We're this. We're Sony Fox.
Shark Tale.
Shark Tale?
Yep, Shark Tale.
Yes. Yeah. That's not Pixar, right?
It is not Pixar.
I don't think so.
I don't know if it matters anymore, does it?
Well, I feel like it used to.
I'm just.
I don't know. They're all one company now.
I'm just saying. Yeah, right.
Disney, Pixar,
Disney owns all of them. You can get it on. If all else fails, go to Disney Plus, and then you can find it, right? So.
That's true.
Yeah. Well,
Oh man.
seems like we just exhausted the movie theme here. Maybe it's.
I'm good.
I do feel a little exhausted, to be honest.
I got nothing else. Nick Cage took up at least 2/3 of the.
Right. Thanks,
Well,
Nick.
because there's so much great content there. And I will close the Nick Cage discussion with my favorite line from The Rock, quoted by Mr. Sean Connery in his character. I don't know if I'm going to try to do it with his, a little bit of a shush, shush. They got to get that shush, shush going on.
Shush.
He says, losers always whine about their best. Winners go home and fuck the prom queen.
Damn.
Because at that moment, Nick Cage was talking, he's getting all pissed off that whatever they were doing, he's like, I'm doing my best. And so Sean comes in with, losers always whine about the best.
That's not too bad there, Jason. I appreciate that. I think you could definitely do a parody of somebody doing a parody of Sean Connery. Like you could do Daryl Hammond. You could do Daryl Hammond doing Sean Connery.
Could I do Daryl Hammond doing Mr. Limpet doing Sean Connery?
Yeah, maybe.
It's funny because Daryl Hammond looked nothing like Sean Connery.
He looked absolutely nothing like Sean Connery.
At least
but
when
his
he
voice
did,
was so good.
yeah,
He was
when he did Clinton,
he was
he at least
400
like
times
could
better than me.
Yeah, he looked nothing like him. That's really funny.
It all pulled together.
All right, movie
I
theme.
propose another quick break, and then we come back with a more legitimate, maybe beverage or beer focused topic.
Oh yeah. All right.
Okay.
Sounds good. We'll be back in just a few minutes.
It's refreshment time, and our refreshment stand is loaded with good things to eat. There's crispy, crunchy popcorn and hot, delicious buttered popcorn, lots of candy, and frosty, refreshing cold drinks. Why not treat yourself at the refreshment center now? As you leave the theater, folks, please be careful. Don't let this happen to your car. Be sure to remove the speaker before you leave. If you should accidentally pull a speaker loose, please turn it in at our snack bar or box office. Thank you.
Hurry, hurry, step right this way, folks, for the most extravagant array of refreshment goodies ever assembled under one roof. Enjoy breathtaking, taste-tempting candies of finest quality. Enjoy popcorn, exploded into tender, delicious, crispy bites of crunchy goodness. Enjoy the tops in cool, refreshing soft drinks. If you want to enjoy some refreshments, this is your opportunity. There will now be a short intermission.
10, 9, 8, 7 minutes to go. Hey, Mom. Yes, you. Why fuss and fret about dinner? Why not have it right here? Yes, this drive-in offers everyone in the family a real picnic treat for dinner. We've got delicious sandwiches with all the trimmings and your other dinner favorites, plus whatever you want to drink, hot or cold. Come early before the show starts, or eat while you're being entertained, or at intermission time. So why fuss? Give your family a tasty dinner at this drive-in.
What is it? Hey, why it's Buttercup. Popcorn, add some butter to hot popcorn. Mix it up, wrap it up, Buttercup is born. It's delicious.
So nutritious.
It's a taste delight. It's so munchy.
Crisp and crunchy.
You'll enjoy each bite. Eat butter-drenched Buttercup. Popcorn at its best. Served in a king-size cup. It beats all the rest.
Show starts in 6 minutes.
Time for refreshment. Refreshment. For your enjoyment, there's hot, fresh popcorn, tempting, delicious hot dogs, and so many kinds of ice cream. And, of course, sparkling, delicious, ice-cold Coca-Cola for everybody at the refreshment counter now. Remember, your favorite snack will taste especially good with world-famous ice-cold Coca-Cola.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Last Call. True, I mean, I think it's the whole nature of this show tonight that we haven't stopped talking in between the breaks at all, that we've just morphed into different topics as we've gone through. So you'll have to catch up with us, I suppose, right, Jason?
We've been talking movies and parodies, and we were just finishing and wrapping about, for the second time tonight, the Saturday Night Live skit when they do the Jeopardy parody with Will Ferrell being the host, Alex Trebek, and then Daryl Hammond being Sean Connery. So leading into this last call, on the board, we have Things That Confuse You for 400.
Very nice.
And this week, Things That Confuse Me, as I went to the liquor store beer doors at multiple places to find out what I was going to be drinking during the show, were Upside Down Stone IPA and Upside Down Stone labels in general. And so going into this last round, I will take Things That Confuse You for 400.
I appreciate that. And I'm going to say, I'm buzzing in, ding, ding, ding. And my answer is the death of a craft beer giant through marketing hokey, hanky, pankiness. I don't know what necessarily, because
can you form that in the structure of a sentence?
I'm sorry. No, I can't. Nope.
What's the actual quote for the campaign is no stone unturned?
Right.
Leave
Correct.
No stone unturned. Yeah.
Correct. What boggles me though is how long they waited to announce what was going on. They waited like a month to tell drinkers and consumers what was really going on.
Yeah.
So I'll amend my answer, or my question to that answer is that normally that would be, I would look at that with high suspect, but the fact that they did it for a month before they were leading up to it without anyone kind of knowing what was happening, then that plays a little more back into that stone genius category.
Yeah. Did you verify that they actually took them a month? Are you looking at like?
Yeah. So the article I'm looking at on the Thrillist right now, it kind of lays it out, and it says it was launched in June. What day? June. They waited until July 13th to announce that the misprints were intentional, but they started rolling them out in middle of June.
So they probably had a bunch of people emailing and calling part of the campaign,
Right?
and
Correct.
saying like, "Hey, yeah, all right, well, I'm with Curtis. Excuse me a little bit that way."
Of the gimmicky or of the
No, excuse me to the okay. They did it for a month, but
Mhm.
I still think it's gimmicky. I don't understand what it's. I guess people talking about it makes it.
It almost seems now like I hate to say this because Stone is one of my favorite breweries. I mean, I no matter what they make is quality, but like the gimmicky part that we're talking about, it just seems like this was focus grouped that, hey, let's do this no stone unturned thing, and then built around it. But that's not going to stop me from buying Stone beer.
No, it won't stop me from buying it. But at first, when I glanced down one of the doors, I thought it was for a specific beer, which would have made a little more sense to me. Like if they named a beer "No Stone Unturned" and the label was just that one label.
But I don't think it would have the same impact, though.
You're right. And now that I'm saying it out loud, "No Stone Unturned" means none of their Stone beers.
Everything has to be
in alignment.
They all need to be drunk. They need to be drunk,
So,
whatever the proper.
Along that lines, things that confuse you for 600, and the tying in the Stone brand. I was at Village Wine and Beer, or Village Liquor Store over on Victoria here in Ventura, trying to find some Belgian beers for tonight, because earlier today, Curtis and I recorded our conversation and interview with Stan Hieronymus, the author of Brew Like a Monk, which you guys can all find on your streaming service as one of our podcasts as soon as Curtis posts it.
It's up.
And they have some very aged, in quotations, some very aged beers, including some Stone stouts and a few things. And one of them I grabbed tonight in honor of a Belgian direction was this lovely barrel-aged French Saison with blood orange from Toolbox Brewing Company. Guess when Toolbox Brewing Company closed down? October 14th, 2018.
What? 2018?
Yes, sir. 2018.
That is
bottles of various Toolbox beers.
It's not quite 2 years.
Well, yeah,
it'll be 2 years.
Right. So in their defense, it's not quite 2 years. In current experience, 2 years ago was a lifetime ago.
Yeah, especially
we can't even remember 5 months ago. Come on.
You're not wrong. And I would say that this Saison somewhat held up. I can tell that it was a Saison, but it's lost a little bit of its crispiness, and the fizziness kind of died out really quickly. But as an establishment, Joby, that serves beer, obviously you're not doing a lot of bottles anymore. You've kind of gone away from that library concept and are just focusing on the draft program. But at what point do you determine you pull product? Like if that brewer, that brand, that style is no longer in the marketplace, do you leave it up anyway?
Well, I mean, did they have a sign that said drink at your own risk or no refunds? Or
No, they did not. No, they did not. They had 4 columns in the cooler of various Toolbox beers, and then they had more Toolbox on the closeout sales aisle that were all warm. And this is not the only brand. I'll tell you, after looking through the closeout aisle and looking through the various doors, knowing that I've got some really cool cellar beers, there's a lot of old beer there. There's some things from 2013, 2012.
Whoa.
I don't know if they're cellarable beers.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how to answer that. I think retail has their own way of doing it, but I think closeout bins are
fair game.
Fair game. I think if you're selling it at full
buy at your own risk.
I think if you're selling it at full price, Jason, then I think that's where it's like, okay, at what point do you just pull it? But if you're just
what
like, if you're down
price?
to,
are we talking about $18.99, $25.99?
No.
Is there some Triniac? Because I was debating too. I'm like, should I buy some of these things? Like, there's some 2013, 2014 old North Coast old ales. There was
those are supposed to last. Those are supposed to last a long time.
So there were some gems. There's some cool stuff that I'm like, I don't know. Should I put a few of these in the fridge? And there's a couple bottles that I was like, you should just dump this.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to talk. I don't want to talk about just Village. It could be any place. I think what you have to watch is how much of a discount you're getting. And so I think the deeper the discount.
Well, so let's throw it to Curtis real quick too, because
the older the beer.
I'm working through this.
Let's throw it to Curtis because
how far back do you allow a date to be when the can or the pack is on the shelf?
Oh yeah, like well, I mean, kudos to you for one for checking the date on it. I didn't know. I mean, I'm assuming you knew that Toolbox had been tits up essentially for
Oh, I did, and that's part of why I got it.
and
honestly,
so
'cause I was like,
but like I would
haven't seen
I
these in
didn't
forever.
know that.
Let's see how it held up.
Yes, but I didn't know that, so I would have gone in and just bought it and walked out
See,
with
I think
it.
your average consumer would have just buy it and be like, "Oh, this is a cool beer for half price."
Right,
I
right,
wonder why it's wait, was it half price?
right. Yeah, so I don't
It
know if I
didn't-
would have.
It didn't say what the discount actually was. It was just on the closeout shelf.
What was the closeout price? Can you tell us?
So for this and a Mirage, now I'm gonna have to get it. A Goose.
Oh, Jason,
We lost him.
yeah, his mic
Right
went
at
out.
the end.
But so while he's out when he's looking for that date, when he comes back, I think if it's out and it's warm, then I'm suspect of it already. Yeah, like if you go to a beer place and Jason, check your mic before you come back on. And so if it's warm, definitely. But if it's in the cooler, generally I assume, I guess, that I should be able to go ahead and grab it and go. I don't know. Jason, give us a mic check real quick.
Mic check. All right.
There you go. Good.
So again, I bought this bottle of Toolbox Brewing Saison de Sang, a barrel-aged French Saison with blood orange, and this 2013 Goose Mariage Parfait,
Nice.
and it cost me $27
Both of them?
together. Yeah, 27 together.
I feel like you could.
So this one I actually think is probably going to hold up the best.
Yeah, Goose. That shit holds up. You probably could have. You probably could have made an offer.
Right.
Okay.
They got more. Maybe I'll do that.
Can I throw in one more bottle?
Well, and I think that's where when you get into if you have a good relationship with your beer monger, so to speak, then maybe you can finagle some of that stuff. Definitely.
Yeah.
So what do you think about 4 packs of undated Dogfish Head 120?
Well,
I feel like there should be a code on those somewhere.
and
I was searching the bottle. I couldn't find what I was looking
I'm not
for.
a fan. I'm not a fan of vintage 120. I've tried it. It just becomes really sweet and malty.
right. And
That's my opinion.
I think it should be okay from I'm just thinking of the ABV that it should be okay from any sort of possible contamination. But if it's not you said undated, right?
I couldn't find a date or a package code anywhere on the box. Or the
I just
bottle.
have-
think
I
they
haven't
usually-
seen a
I think
one-
It's stamped on the case. I think it's on the cardboard
Oh.
case before you break open the flaps.
I was gonna say I haven't seen 120 forever, so I
Yeah.
don't. So I would be like, okay. But again, like I'm careless that way though. I'll just go and just assume that whatever's on the shelf is fresh, I guess.
So Curtis is prime demographic for these
Right.
closeouts.
Well, and that goes
Right.
back to
I'll
my
be going,
question, Curtis.
hey,
Pull up an
120
IPA off the shelf. Like, if it were 2 months old, 3 months old, if there was an IPA that you really just had a taste for that night, like, what's the longest date that you'll allow before you just
Yeah.
put it back on the rack and go to the next one?
Dang, that's a good question. A couple
It's
months.
Like, I just love IPAs.
A couple months probably. I mean, thankfully, my brewery, my local brewery.
You can't even make it 2 months. It doesn't even last 2
Now he's
months.
got unofficial ownership.
I won't name my local brewery, but thankfully I don't have to go too far for fresh IPAs. But yeah, that'd be a tough one because, if you're looking at a 2-month-old IPA, then where's the hops, right? So
Yeah. Well, I want to switch gears on you, Jason, but not quite. Things that confuse me this week at the supermarket: plastic covering over the credit card machine numbers. I'm sorry, but I am confused. So I don't have to touch the numbers now, but we're all touching the same plastic. Just want to throw that one out. I don't understand. Any thoughts?
That's
Does
right
any
up there with the
reasoning?
cashier that doesn't change their gloves after accepting everybody's credit card.
I think the only upside to that is that they can actually spray that machine with it or wipe it down easier, possibly because then it's smooth.
But do they?
No, right, exactly.
can't.
They can. There's the opportunity for them to do so.
Well, Curtis, as someone who's wiping down stuff at the restaurant, you can just take a alcoholic antiseptic wipe and just wipe the electronics, so you're fine.
You can
Jason
or you
knows.
can or cannot.
You can.
Okay.
You can. You definitely can.
You must
Well,
definitely can.
I'm just thinking
with you,
that
Joby. It makes
I'm just wondering how nimble you two have gotten with your knuckles when it comes time to touch those things. Like, okay, hitting it with your knuckle on a finger that you're never ever use, so that you know that I'm not going to accidentally touch my face or lick that knuckle as it's going on, right?
All right, and then the other one more.
Well,
Also COVID, also sign of the times related, COVID related.
right. So this is. Or you have another one?
I have just one more.
Okay, go ahead.
we
People
each get
that
at least two. If not time for a third.
I
after
took
that.
2. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
No, go ahead. I only heard one. I heard one official. Joey, hit the second one.
Well, Jason, what was your second one? Now I'm going to come back to you. The other one is people that are confused that there's no indoor dining. I'm not sure where these people have been.
What? I can't
you're
sit
confused by
inside?
the people who are confused. I like it.
I'm confused by the people who are confused about there not being indoor dining. Like,
So you're telling me I can't sit inside? Okay.
wait a minute. So the inside is closed?
What?
Yes. And I'll stop right there. I'll turn it over to Curtis. Things that confuse you, Curtis.
I don't know if this is so much that it's a confusion, but I'm trying to figure out where all of these weird ads are coming from in my Facebook feed as I'm scrolling through. All of a sudden, it's ads for as soon as you watch or you pause over one video of, say, a funny army, like the army fails, or lately, if you pause just for a second, then all of a sudden every ad is for that particular company. My favorite though has been I paused over the top of Wipeout, the American version of the Japanese game show, and so now every time as I'm scrolling through Facebook, every third or fourth person post is now Wipeout, and I cannot pull my eyes away for it. So then it just populates more and more Wipeout the whole
It knows.
time.
It knows you're watching.
I know. It's like, ooh, he watches for 30 seconds.
There's somebody like in a conference room with a list of names. Like, put a check mark by Curtis. We got him. Curtis Taylor. We got him.
Wipeout resurgence. Wipeout's coming back.
Right. The Facebook people love this. Well, Curtis loves this, so send it to him.
It is.
Yeah, I don't
Anything
I
else
don't
that
get out
confuses you, Curtis?
I don't get out far I don't get out enough to find other things that dismay me.
All right. It doesn't have to be dismayed, just confused.
I'm just confused by it. I'm trying to think of
Well, okay, so
how
I'll
how
give
did
you one more
Wipeout
thing.
all of a sudden show up in
Considering
my
all your-
Instagram feed?
Considering all your COVID vacations and your travels the past handful of months, for another things that confuse me, the other day I was on the freeway. I was on the 101, and I was coming up to an entrance ramp. So I moved from the right lane to the middle lane, because
No.
it was a 3-lane section. So
Okay.
I moved from the right lane to the middle lane to allow this person to get in. And then I realized that I needed and wanted to get over for the next exit. So I started to slow down to get in behind them, and they slowed down at the same rate that I was slowing down. I was like, why are you doing? Can you please? I want to get in behind you. I'm not even trying to race out in front of you. I'm slowing down appropriately to get in behind you. Why are you slowing down also? Keep going.
It seems I'm always
all the accordion effect of the 405 and the 101. I'm convinced after 15 years in California, I'm convinced that traffic jams and accordion effect are all based on the fact that people do not know how to exit or enter the freeway efficiently.
Right.
They're afraid to go at a pace that allows them to slip in and out. They have to like slam on their brakes and get over and herky jerky all across the road trying to get to where they need to be.
So my suggestion to you two, at some point you're going to be teaching your children how to drive, and that right there, Jason, was the most important thing that I stressed to my daughter, who is now in college, but my son who is now just starting to learn how to drive, that every time I merge into traffic when he's in the car, I talk about what I'm doing, that I am getting up to speed so I can get, or faster than speed, so that I can get into space and get out of that lane and get moving over. So it's, it's, there are people whose parents did them a disservice by not explaining how to merge into
Or
traffic.
perhaps the parents were not good mergers.
Well, that's true.
I think there's a
They're
lot of bad drivers teaching children to be bad drivers. I think most drivers were either self-taught or taught by someone above them in their own family who are not good either. I went to a traffic school through my high school. They had a subset program during the summertime. And then I also had a police officer as a dad who I started to learn with. I went out one day and he made me super anxious because he was so focused on the technical side and the rules of it all that I kept stalling the manual transmission.
Right.
I couldn't stay fluid. Every stop sign, every stop light, I'd kill the engine. So I came back and I told my mom, like, I can't learn with dad. I'm too wound up right now. I can't do it. So the next time we went out, she got in the passenger seat and gave me the keys and said, let's drive. And I said, where are we going? She's like, I don't know. I don't care. Let's just drive. And she stayed quiet. Every time the car stalled, she'd be like, turn it back on. And by the time we were done that day, I was relaxed. But there is a fluidness to driving. And I'm, to hear you say, Curtis, that you're explaining along the way about how to merge and how to flow with traffic makes sense. And I hope that I remember to do that and that I'm like patient enough to do that when I'm teaching. Because the other thing is, you don't always need your brakes. When traffic is slowing down, you can just let off the gas and your car will naturally slow down with friction.
What?
Hit the brake every time. Because that just creates this ripple all the way down the freeway of brake lights. Boom, 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 boom.
Right.
Just slow down and let off the gas. It's okay. And then slowly ease back into the gas to pick up speed again.
Right. Well, when I got back from the very first driving session with my son here just last week, my daughter asked Evan how I was. And evidently I was a basket case with her, and I was probably an example of your father, Jason, that you were just talking about, like all of those technical things. And now because it's been more, you've been through it already. So then you're just a little more relaxed, a little more like, okay, yeah, you killed it. Let's just do it again. Let's go. But the whole time I'm thinking, as we're just in a parking lot, just practicing stopping, that I'm so glad that he's not trying to learn how to do a stick at the same time. And I learned how on a stick. I mean, that was my first driving experience too. And so I don't know why I'm glad that he's not doing it, but maybe it's just for myself that I don't have to sit and go feel that
Your old neck, you don't
Right.
want any whiplash.
Right. Yeah, I have hit that spot where that can happen.
Joby, what did you learn on?
I learned on automatic too. I was lucky. I had a lot of people. When I got my, I'm surprised that your kids, Curtis, wanted to learn so quickly, because I noticed there's a lot of kids that don't want to learn how to drive now. So I was the same as you, Jason. I took the high school class. I took the driver's, and then I got my permit like as soon as I could. Like I think it was 15 and a half milestone birthday, like
Right.
halfway between my 15th and 16th birthday, and I got my permit. So I drove with anybody that would drive with me. And so I had a lot of like older family and my dad and everybody. So I learned, and of course everybody teaches you their way. So it's good because you get to pick up a little
Right.
bit of everybody's different styles. But yeah, I don't know. I think I'm a good driver, and I think I learned from them pretty good. But yeah, I got my license right on my 16th birthday. So
And
It
how many
was,
years till you have to start teaching it?
it's a long time still. 10 years, if they want to get their licenses. I don't know. Who
Well,
knows? There's
Joe-
what do
yeah,
you
Joe-
call it? Uber.
Yeah, Joby, you bring up a great point, is that my son was not interested in driving up until just really recently, and he turned 16 in April. When I had in South Dakota, you can get your driver's license at 13.
Holy shit.
Right, so because it's a farm country
So
kind
you
of
might
thing.
need to drive.
Right,
for-
so that
for the
drive
farm,
the drive the equipment or drive the truck into town, whatever it is. And so I grew up with people when I was a 7th grader that there were people in my class that were driving already, but my mom wouldn't let me do that as soon as I turned 15, I got my permit. Yeah. And it was a rite of passage. The moment I could get it, I did that. And it was, and Jason, you're probably the same way, I would assume.
Yeah, I was pretty close. I mean, like Joby, you're saying that 15 and 15 and a half mark, I was like, we're right there on the cusp. Let's get this class going. Let's start figuring this out. Because we were riding with my buddy's sister for a couple of years. She was older than us, and she was always driving us to school. And he was a little bit older than me, so it's like their car got passed down to him. It was so exciting to have someone, just down the street who would come pick us up. Like, we're going with Josh's school. And then it's like she moved on, and Josh got his permit and his license. It's like, now we're just rolling with Josh only. And eventually it was like, well, Jason's got a better, or more people-friendly car because it was an '83 Civic hatchback. So there was 4 doors plus the hatchback, and Josh's car was like a Buick Regal or something, so it just had 2 doors, and we all had to pile in and move the seat and climb over each other. So they were like really on my neck, like, come on, Jason, you got to get your license so you can drive us around.
Yeah, I drove with anybody that would let me drive. Like, I'm like, I got my permit, I want to drive. Like, I just want to learn. And I learned on the freeway like super early on, so I think that helps too. Like, I learned how to drive.
It does make a big difference, because then I grew up around Chicago, and driving on those freeways was just as much of a madhouse sometimes as the 405, and in and out of all these freeways here in Southern California. I really showed my cards though one time. I never have lived it down, and it was the battery or something. The alternator was starting to go out. And it was one of those where you turn the key and it goes click, 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 click.
Yeah,
and
alternator.
Like, me and Corey and Josh, my good buddies, we're trying to leave wherever we're at. And they're like, come on. And like, oh, okay, fine. And all of a sudden one of them goes, we're going to have to pop the clutch. Well, I didn't know what that meant. And I was too embarrassed and too proud to ask. So Corey and Josh get in the back of the car, and they're starting to push, and they're like, pop the clutch. And I keep turning the key, click, 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 as they're pushing. And they're like, come on, pop the clutch. I'm like, I am. I'm like, no, you're not. Finally, I was like, what does that mean?
Yeah, there's more than one way to.
Cool about a stick shift that you can actually push start it.
More than one way to start a car, definitely, with a stick shift.
Yeah. Well, back in the day, remember they used to crank those things over.
Yeah.
Back in the day. Well, what do you guys think, huh?
It's good.
We hit a Monday.
We hit a Monday.
We hit that thing head on.
Right. Our car has officially died, and none of the 3 of us are willing to pop the clutch.
No popping the clutch.
we took that Monday. We wrestled it, and now we're set. We're good.
Yeah. Pop the clutch.
Well,
pop the clutch is the name of the episode.
You got it. There it is. Episode 57. Pop the clutch.
Do you want us to talk about? Yeah. Popping the clutch may be one of those things that confuses you. So if there's other things, there are other components of your life out in the ethos, or the ether right now, not the ethos. Whew, let's not change the ethos. There are other things in your life that are confusing you, and you want us to talk about it or rant about it, send it in to Happy Hour again, either through our Instagram direct messaging or through the Facebook messaging. But get a hold of us and let us know what confuses you.
I would like to preface that by saying that popping the clutch is not a double entendre. So let's no D-pics. We don't need any D-pics.
On a serious note, a quick reminder, watch for the episode with Stan Hieronymus and Brew Like a Monk. It was a really cool interview today. We've had some great authors in our author series recently, so watch for those shows to pop up in your feed.
Absolutely. And I was working on it here this evening. All of the Chicago Beer Riot we did, was that just last week or was that the week before? I can't remember.
Just last week.
Just last week. So that's up now, and also as well in the podcast, and then the Stan Hieronymus is up right now too. So it's available now wherever you get your podcasts. Assuming that assuming where you get your podcasts is Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and TuneIn. Right. The rest of places you're shit out of luck.
Asterisk fine print.
Right.
I like that.
An asterisk. All right.
And coming down the pipe, we're also going to have Joby. I think we should get Andres on from Surf and Suds. You just had Surf and Suds hosted at the restaurant this past Saturday. Chat with him about what that looks like.
Let's do it.
I'm just looking at what's happening here. So we're looking at next week. Is next week Labor Day? No, next week is not Labor Day.
No,
2 weeks.
Labor
2
Day.
weeks after that.
Don't let it come before it's supposed to, Curtis. This summertime's already going fast.
That's right.
Life of COVID.
Right. So we're pretty open as we're coming up. It doesn't look like there's anything scheduled. So keep posted on what we line up here for our guests as we go through the next couple months here.
Sounds good.
Alrighty.
Happy Monday.
Happy Monday to you all, and tuning in wherever you're at. We appreciate tuning in wherever you're at.